at it again, and we have one here with Amala. I don't know how to properly pronounce her last name. Yeah, I'm not even gonna attempt to. I was looking at her last name, and I was gonna attempt to like pronounce her last name, and yeah, nah, I'm gonna butcher that. But shout out to Amala. Make sure you guys go subscribe to her YouTube channel as well. Which I'm sure a lot of you guys already are, you know. I'm sure a lot of you guys already know who Amala is. So, but if you're not, and if you aren't subscribed to her channel, go subscribe. Link is down below. All right. But we have her debating a leftist student here today. And you know, I love some debates, baby. You know, debates is what I love to see and love to hear. I would love to have like a TV show where, you know, we do nothing but debates. You know what I mean? You know, on national television. I think that would be fantastic television to sit down and watch. Especially in today's climate, I feel like there's a lot more people into politics than previously. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. Y'all can let me know how y'all feel. But I feel like it would be a hit, personally. You know? I feel like it would be a hit. But anyway, like, share, comment, hit that subscribe button if you're new. Make sure you're following me on social media, too. And I've talked enough, so let's dive in.
Hello. So this kind of goes back to the first question.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of confused and like would be interested in your answer about what the difference is between conservatism and like the current Republican Party. Because like something that really drives me away from the Republican Party is a lot of like blatant lies and bigotry that I hear coming out of that, and kind of the lack of calling that out from other people as well. So I guess, and like listening to what you're talking about today, it seems like you're very focused on the facts, and that's something that's driving a lot of what you're like thinking and saying, but that doesn't seem to really be coming from the Republican Party. So
Okay.
I'm confused on how you're.
I'm curious. I would like. Can I get examples of what you mean when you say like they're focused on bigotry or like saying certain things?
So
Yeah,
like
please.
blatant lies, I guess, would kind of be with the election and like election deniers, and then kind of the lack of people who are calling that out. So I guess, I mean, a good example would be, I mean, you were talking about, you know, following the facts and the science with regards to like transgender youth. So I'm just kind of confused on how then you're saying we should follow the facts with respects to that, but then all the kind of Republicans who are ignoring that. And then I guess with the bigotry would be in regards to like the Don't Say Gay law in Florida, and then the lack of like Republicans who are then calling that out.
Yeah. So I'll touch on the Don't Say Gay thing first. Then we'll get to the election thing. Then we'll get to the Republican thing. The Don't Say Gay bill, I think, is falsely labeled the Don't Say Gay bill. I've actually gone to the page, read the bill itself. It's actually called the Parental Rights and Education Bill. And if you go through and read the bill,
and that really shows the power of mainstream media, the power of that machine. It literally changed the name of an entire bill. Nobody actually knows the real name of it. Well, I mean, now, you know, because Amala pointed that out to all of them. But I guarantee you, if you asked all of them what the actual name of that bill, none of them in that crowd could have told you. Not a single person. That machine is powerful, man. I'm telling you.
Itself, a lot of people engaged in all this fanfare and getting angry about a label, which is 3 words that they heard, rather than going and actually reading the bill. And the bill itself talks about just staying away from sexual education that has to do with other sexualities, has to do with gender theory. A lot of people got mad at the bill saying that he was trying to erase African American history. But if you go in and read it, there's actually a full paragraph where he says the school must dedicate time to talking about African American history, including slavery and Jim Crow and all these different things written directly in it. There's nothing in the bill that explicitly says you should not say the word gay, or encourages teachers to not talk about the fact that you can have a family that has 2 dads or 2 moms. So I think that was a lot of just media propaganda. And
Florida's controversial Don't Say Gay law takes effect today. Don't Say Gay bill.
The Don't Say Gay. Don't Say Gay.
The Don't Say Gay bill.
Don't Say Gay law.
Don't Say Gay bill. Don't Say Gay bill. Don't Say Gay bill.
Wow. Wow. Every single one of them. Sheesh.
Switching things around that got people angry.
Okay, can I just, are you going to switch topics? Could I follow on that?
You can respond, yeah.
Okay, so then my question, I guess, following up on that would be, would you be against then like a kindergartner being like read a story that has like 2 dads or 2 moms?
I mean, that
Read a story. I I lean on there was a YouTube short that I made from a podcast. I don't remember the name of the podcast, but a lot of you may remember the exact short that I'm speaking about. But there is I believe a gay teacher on that podcast. I'm assuming he's gay or trans or something, right? I believe he's just gay. Forgive me if I'm wrong on that. But he spoke about a situation where a student came in with two mothers, right? Obviously, mom was gay or whatever, lesbian, not gay, lesbian. And he said all he did was tell another student, I believe like a student asked or something like that. And he told the student, hey, some people have two moms. She happens to have two moms. That's okay. And that's where he ended the conversation. He said, it's not my responsibility to go into more details. I'll let the parents know. I'll even hand the parents, a pamphlet, or I think he was talking about, I believe that was that video. He was like, I'll hand the parents, some information or whatever about it. What they want to discuss is what they want to discuss. And I agreed with that 100%. Like, you don't have to ostracize. I don't believe in bullying. I was bullied as a kid, so I will never, ever believe in bullying, right? Because I've gone through it myself. So I know how it feels, So I don't believe in like ostracizing a student, because then that can lead to bullying. Oh, that kid's weird. That kid has two moms or two dads. Like, no. Let people live their life. If a kid asks, hey, some people have two moms. That's all right. That's their life. End it there. Just so that kid doesn't, go throughout the rest of that school day or the rest of that school year targeting, because we all know how kids can be vicious. We all were kids at some point, and we know kids can be vicious. Okay, so I agree with that part, but in terms of like reading an entire book, like why do you have that kind of book anyway? Like what's the educational value that is coming out of that? Like, why not a book that, is a math story? You know what I mean? Or, some type of science story. Why not something like that? Something that actually has some educational value. Why are we talking about relationships in a book? If that makes any type of sense. Y'all let me know if you agree, disagree, why not in the comment section, all right?
That doesn't necessarily make me upset. I wouldn't go running to the school board about it. I would question the need for having any sort of conversation that talks about relationships in school.
Yep.
But if you're just showing a picture book and it has two dads in it, okay, whatever. I'm not upset about it. I think what specifically conservative parents are really upset about is things much more nefarious than showing two dads in a book. I mean, talking about homoeroticism and pornography and different ways to engage in sexual acts, gender confusion. That's what's really brought parents to the forefront of this discussion. It's not something as simple and as harmless as showing two dads in a book.
Okay, but like, do you understand that like that is in Florida? Like that is what's not allowed to happen though?
No, I don't understand that. That's
like teachers
in the bill.
Well, it wasn't written in the bill, but that's why I'm saying that I feel like it's bills like those are being targeted towards gay people and lesbians. Well,
I would argue that the bills also say that you should not show children heterosexual acts. So it's not targeting of any kind to any sort of sexuality. I wouldn't want to send my kindergarten to school and have them talk about a man and a woman having sex. I think the bill explicitly lays out what conversations are appropriate for school and what conversations are not. And sexual conversations about sex.
Classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students. I don't even think it should be in school, period. It says through grade 3. I mean, I don't know exactly what age that is, grade 3, but that's probably what, 10? Y'all let me know in the comment section. Maybe 9. Anybody that has a third grader, let me know third grader's age. But that's whoa. You know, especially when you consider test scores right now. I feel like test scores are at all-time lows. And like she said, I don't agree with any type of heterosexual, interactions being talked about in class. I just feel like it's just inappropriate. It's not targeting, one specific community at all. That's what Democrats want people to believe. But I think it's up to us to make sure that we change that narrative and let folks know, like I said in a previous video, that we don't hate them. Okay? Because I think that's part of the narrative as well. Republicans hate us and they want to get rid of us. Like, no, we hate some of those ideas, but we don't hate the individuals. We don't want, any sexual stuff being talked about in class or in schools, but it's not just LGBTQ stuff. It's anything. Heterosexual as well. But of course, these Democrat politicians would like people to believe, oh, see, they're okay with heterosexual stuff being taught in class. But when it comes to LGBT, they're like, no, we don't want any of it. Don't want any of it. Okay? If I had a kid that was in 3rd or 4th grade, I don't want their teacher talking to them about, a guy sticking his penis in it. Like, no. Like, what? In what world? Like, can we just go back to teaching, reading, writing, science, and math? Can we just get back to that? Please and thank you. Okay?
Sexuality, identification are just not what we send children to school for.
Facts.
But would you be against then like a fifth grader just reading a book where there's a relationship between like a man and a man or a woman and a woman, where their sexuality is discussed?
I mean, not necessarily, but I don't know why that book has to be given to that child from the school. I think there are
Bang. And that goes for heterosexual as well. I hate that he labeled it a man and a man or a woman and a woman. It's anybody. What's 5th grade? That might be, no, actually 5th grade might be 10 or 11. So 3rd grade would be like 8. Like, no. Like, what? Do I want a 10 or 11-year-old reading that kind of book? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't care if it's gay or straight. Doesn't matter. Get it all out. No kid should be reading that kind of stuff.
There are very few things that a school should be taking care of, and that is math, reading, writing, science, and maybe some home economics. But as far as engaging in conversations about any sort of relationship or sexuality, it feels wholly unnecessary to me. And I don't know where the school train ran away from us that they now feel that they are the arbiters of teaching children anything that has to do with relationships. I think those are conversations for mom and dad, or mom and mom.
But what about the relationships between like men and women, in the sense that there are plenty of books where a man and a woman are together?
Sure, yeah. If you want like we go on a date and go get lunch together or something like that, sure. But again, that's not what parents are coming to the school for.
But I would disagree, and I would say I think there are plenty of people who are upset.
That
is being taught, and that is what's happening.
You could say that, and you'd probably find a few Christian people who go.
Well, I think it's more than a few, if we're going to be realistic in Florida.
Sure. Well, I'm not a religious person. I'm sure there's plenty of Christian people who say I'm against that in school. But I think it is about being forthright with what we have with our kids. Like when I went to school and we were going to get any sort of sexual education, I was sent home with a piece of paper a week before, a day before, that said, hey, we're going to have a conversation about sexual activity and relationships with your child. Here's what we're going to discuss. If you'd like to opt out, check this box here. We'll send your kid to another room and they can have a pizza party. I don't know why that it's such a difficult thing to do in the modern age, and why teachers feel the need to inject these conversations into classrooms without parents knowing. I think a great way to mitigate this problem as a whole is to engage in curriculum transparency, where at the beginning of every year, when you send your child to school, you get a little book that says, here's what we're teaching. Here are the resources your kid is going to look at. You can look at these resources yourself. If you have a problem with any of the resources we are going to give your child, notify us. And it's a very simple issue to just put the power back in the hands of parents where it should have been from the beginning. And it feels weird to meet such resistance on allowing parents to be able to make that choice for their kids. Not necessarily resistance from you, but from left-leaning people at large.
Okay, thank you. And then I mean,
Sure.
don't necessarily agree with that, but I guess just to go to the second,
Yeah. What was the second thing again?
uh,
Republicans?
Republicans, conservatisms, and then also about, I mean, just following the facts with regards to like science regarding like puberty blockers, and then ignoring the science and the facts with regard to the election.
Yeah. So what is interesting is that when I say follow the science when it comes to puberty blockers and transgenderism, the question becomes what science? Because in the United States of America, science seems to be controlled by this totalitarian force of left-leaning people who are willing to silence anybody who disagrees in the scientific realm. There's a brilliant neuroscientist by the name of Deborah Soh who wrote a book called The End of Gender, and she was super scared to write this because she knew it meant being alienated from all of her scientific community. So when you have a force working like that against you in this country, and I'm looking to outside research from other countries to substantiate what we know to be true, but for some reason can't get unbiased research, I think that's why a lot of Republicans feel the way they do about elections. Now, whether they're right or wrong, I don't know. I haven't looked into any of the auditing they've done of the elections, and I don't necessarily concern myself with that conversation. But
She is right about the scientists, and I find that very, very interesting as well. And I forgot the scientist's name, but whenever a scientist comes out and says something that goes against the grain, like they're basically silenced. And I just find that weird. Because if you have the facts and you have the science to back it up, well then you would present that evidence and in a non-biased way, and that scientist will have to go back to the drawing board because we'll all see, oh hey, this one guy over here that went against the grain, he was completely wrong because here's all of the evidence right here. But instead, all of these guys say, hey, you're an idiot. You're, this, that, and the other. Shh. Put him in the corner. As a matter of fact, get out of our science house. You're gone for good. Let's carry on, guys, over here. And it's just like, hold on, wait a minute. I don't think that's how this is all supposed to work. Things aren't supposed to go this way. And I always revert back to the saying that says, if everyone in a room agrees, someone is lying. There's no way all of these guys are all on the same page and nobody has any type of doubt, or a suspicion. And then the one time somebody actually speaks up and says, oh, wait, I have some doubts, I have some suspicion, they're completely silenced. And then they wonder why people are like, nah, we don't believe you. Well, look what you've been doing. You know what I mean? Anyway.
But that idea is a sown seed of mistrust. They have mistrust in the institutions and systems as they stand. And whether or not you feel a certain way about the elections, that mistrust is rightful. I mean, we're finding out now that the FBI, which is a government agency, is now in contact with big tech like Facebook and Twitter, actively auditing and censoring information prior to election cycles happening. And this is noted. We have the emails from the FBI, the Twitter files have come out. So whether or not they're right about the election is really not necessarily the problem. The problem is you have a large portion of Americans who have little to no faith in the systems that they've always had faith in for the most part. And I think that's what we should be addressing.
Okay, but okay, sorry.
So yeah, I think Amala did a fantastic job of explaining things there in that clip. Wonderful job. I literally couldn't have said it any better. I probably would have explained it a whole lot worse. If I'm just being honest. So salute to Amala. Like I said earlier, make sure you guys go show her some major love and support. Go subscribe to her YouTube channel. I'll leave the link down below. Of course, her channel is literally just her name, Amala something. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, so I'm not going to. Unapologetic. So yeah, go subscribe to her YouTube channel. And yeah, shout out to her. Couldn't have said it any better. Literally couldn't have said that any better. Do you guys agree, disagree with what she was saying, with what I said? Let me know. And what would you add to it? Talk to me. Like, share, comment. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Peace and love. I'm out.